Wait for it. Wait for. Oh, wait. Oh, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Oops. There we go. Aha. We now have our own. We now have our own intro music. Wait, where's? Oh, yes. Listen to that. I mean, obviously, it's just whatever we composed last week, but still, it's nice. Yes, yes, we will have to put words on it. I don't know, sometime in the near future, I assume. At this point. Oh, right. 1 second. 1 second. Okay. All right. So today we are going to continue with our military operations question. We're going to continue from where we left off last time. Essentially, we're going to answer this question, and then we're going to do squirrels, and then we'll, if we have time, I'll make the new question on stream. If not, then whatever, you know. Right? Yes. You know very well where I was yesterday. Okay. Don't even start with me, bro. No. The short answer is obviously no. The long answer is no. This. Oh, why are you guys making this happen? Test. No? Can you hear the background music? You cannot. Interesting. So I cannot do this. What about this? Interesting. Okay. That's probably okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's all good. Yeah, no, I was just looking at the sound profiles, and I saw something that I've never seen before, so I wanted to check it out. Yeah, it's all good though. We're all good. No, no, we're just gonna do it like this. I mean, do you really want me to like? I could do a PowerPoint of this. I mean, sure, but it wouldn't be very, very good. Okay, so anyway, let's just get started. I'm going to just do these one at a time. So this is going to be phase one. So the reason why I zoomed in here, obviously, is because we're going to start with something like this, where this force is now going to. I do need the arrows. Yes, I do. First have to. Let's take this blue. Excellent. And that. Actually, maybe we should just take these arrows. Oops. Yes. Yep. We're gonna take this arrow. We're gonna take these. These guys were originally over here. Wait. And they were over here. We're going to say, oh yes, I should re-explain this. 1 second. Give me 1 quick second. Okay. No, nothing went wrong. Just life as we know it. And don't we know it? Yes, let's talk about the overall strategic situation first. So what happened, if you guys remember from the previous question, is that hi, Shadow, my friend. Nice to see you on Twitch this time. But yeah, so what happened in the previous campaign was that gray or dark gray or whatever you want to call it, they've started down here. Good man. Yeah, you gotta switch between Twitch and YouTube all the time, otherwise I would get too comfortable, you know? Anyway, the Grey Force started down here. There was all of this was part of Blue's territory. And then the Grey Force needed to push what amounted to be a tank army to the northeast. And we had talked about using our tanks in such a way that it isolated and essentially destroyed a lot of the blue formations that were here. So now we've essentially sent off the majority of the dark gray army to the northeast, so there's nothing left here. But because dark gray decided to screen what amounts to be a gigantic metropolis, you can imagine that blue is happy to take advantage of this and to come back. And so that's what happened. Reinforcements appeared from the west. The tank, the previous, so blue is doctrinally, or was doctrinally less flexible. But in the meantime, they had created, well, because they essentially they got beat so hard that they decided, instead of using their tanks, which are actually not bad tanks, instead of using them piecemeal as infantry support, they would try to do what Dark Grey did and use them sort of in these combined arms formations, using tanks and motorized divisions together for sort of fast-acting exploitation and breakthrough divisions, formations. Okay, so 2 tank divisions and 2 motorized divisions. They are not quite the same as the version by Dark Grey, which is like 1 tank division, 1 slightly larger tank division, and 2 mechanized divisions. So these definitely work, punch a lot harder, but there's also less of them, right? So the idea then is, can we, as blue, do something interesting to drive Grey away? And the key for this is to drive Grey away from City A and recapture all of the railroads, because this railroad is one of the more important ones. Remember, we had just sent off a gigantic army to the northeast, and so yeah, what am I saying? As blue, our strategic goal is to capture this. Is it strategic? Yeah, I suppose it's strategic. We'll have about 2.5 operations. We'll have a southern flank and then we'll have a northern flank. And those 2 operations come together to attain the strategic goal of capturing a long stretch of this railroad, so that, and destroy as much of the Dark Grey Force as possible along the way. Cool. Okay, let's get started then. Yes. So first of all, obviously, we're going to pull a lot of these formations forward. What's going to happen with these 3, this infantry corps, is that it's actually going to just come loop all the way to the southwest and then attack in the northeasterly direction. And if Dark Grey responds by concentrating its force, then that means this area is now wide open for our tank exploitation. If it doesn't, then it's just going to get defeated in detail, right? Because there's like individual infantry divisions are just going to get surrounded and killed off. So the point is to put Dark Gray in a difficult position so that we can exploit this part. But before that even happens, because we need to wait for this formation to get to the southwest, we're going to send all of this on its own little journey across, right? So city B is going to be invested by 2 core versus 2 core. This will of course retreat into the city, and if we win a battle along the south, Dark Gray is going to retreat from the city, because there's no point in getting locked in. Like having 6 divisions worth of infantry locked into a tiny city like that is just, there's no point to it, right? Like might as well pull them out and fight a proper battle outside of the city, especially if you're low on manpower. So between that, this here, and then we'll put this here, but like small. Yeah, excellent. Fine, that excellent. Okay, so that's essentially the first phase, and then we're going to move phase 2. Excellent. So by this time, by phase 2, all of these 2 tank divisions are here. This is somewhere around here, and there's just pressure against infantry versus infantry pressure against the Dark Gray force in city B. This has moved itself down here. So next phase we'll start the envelopment like this, and what we will see is, as Dark Gray, there's going to be a retreat to this end with the core coming together, under the umbrella of its own artillery. But that does then give us very, very interesting very, very interesting spot for the tanks to break through. So this tank core is here. The problem that we have in the south is actually slightly more complex, because while we have a lot of artillery, we have a lot of artillery. We don't have enough infantry formations to really push all along the line if we send this to the southwest, which means that these 2 can certainly push forward, but with theater level reinforcements just here, that makes it very difficult. But then that's the whole point while we're seeking sort of these kinds of decisive advantages, right? Like if, in this case, if our tank, let me finish it first. So these tank formations are coming down. This infantry division is getting way overrun. So town E is going to be liberated quite soon. And then this is going in this direction. Like that. Right? So the idea is quite simple. If black doesn't reinforce this, then it's going to lose everything. If it does reinforce it with the infantry or with its own tank corps, then suddenly we'll have some extra breathing room here, where our 2 infantry corps can then push, into these fortified positions with all of our artillery in support. And this is definitely spoken for, because we have the makings of a gigantic tank battle going on here. And yeah, that's essentially it for phase 2 at least. So phase 3. Phase 3, we're going to see this here, pushing in this direction. And so what happens is these three formations have collapsed down into the high ground here, behind their own artillery, and so this has itself pinned. The tank formation is now in this direction, and the idea is to, you know, overrun and attack them from the rear, and to invite this kind of response. And we will see what happens. These guys are here. So there is now a clash between these two. But this is actually beneficial, right? Because if the clash allows like this, if the clash allows this second tank corps to either, you know, completely destroy town E, so this is gone, completely destroy, not destroy, but liberate town E, or to get into the rear of the of this, what amounts to be an army, right? Because that's three army corps worth of formations. So if this tank corps is able to get into the rear of that, cut off its supply, then this will just wither. So at the same time that we're going to see a forward push like this. You're right that we don't see any big envelopments like we did in the last one, but that's simply because we don't have the manpower for it. Right? Like this is very much a low manpower situation. So you have in terms of blue, you have four kind of small armies, each of which really is only running at what, 4 smallish armies, each of them that's running at 2 army corps each. So like, yeah, they're going to be quite nimble, but they're also like, they don't have a lot of staying power. They need to maneuver pretty hard, right? You just put this down there. This direction. So obviously the black force is also not, dark gray force is also not stupid. They're not going to sit here and just let you cut off their retreat. So there is going to be a retreat from city B. But the idea is, by the time that retreat from city B happens, we have already broken up this southern force into digestible chunks, and I mean, ideally digested it, right? But who knows? Well, I mean, that's the point of military engagements, right? You really don't know, because there are things that are just incredibly serendipitous, because there are just too many factors. So in this, let's just go to phase 4. In phase 4, in phase 4, we'll see that we have essentially collapsed this core in on itself. With this, and you know that age-old meme about, oh, I'm not stuck in here. I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with me. That kind of applies in this situation as well, because if you think about it, or yes, that goes away. If you think about it, there is now this tank army that's sitting in the rear, and it's just you know, raring to go. And the tank army of dark gray is dramatically it's just better in terms of doctrine, and doctrine when it comes to tank warfare, doctrine really does count for a lot. So the idea is before this tank army can get into the rear of our infantry corps, they take the high ground, have the artillery in place, so that they can do whatever is needed to do next. Good question. The question was, though, why did I delete this one and not this one? And the idea is actually not that this division was somehow destroyed, but rather that this one was destroyed, and then this came from above to sort of replace that, right? And so now we deal with the north, and we'll see that essentially this is retreated in this direction to give time for our infantry formations to come out like this. And whether this is successful or not really depends on a lot of things, right? Depends on how quickly our own infantry can fight, can chase them all out. Depends on I'm just gonna do this. Well, it is unfortunate, but yes, this does. That doesn't change anything. There's not a good way for me to render this at this distance, right? But I mean, these are very high resolution images, so you can just zoom in and they're just fine. Just realized that I don't want the grid line there. The grid line. Just about terrain. There we go. So now we're catching this core in 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Amazon is great. I mean, that's all I got. That's all I got to say. Amazon Prime is so worth it. I was going to say before we got interrupted that there is another way to do this, and that's for this core not to come down on this end, which is sort of a short right hook, but a farther right hook that goes around this hill. And you know, we've kind of committed to this short one, but the farther one actually might make a lot more sense, because what you could do with the farther one is, now in this case, you just overrun this part, right? Like you still have this force of keeping kicking Dark Gray out of City B, but now you can overrun the flank of this. Should we go back and change it? What do we think? Yeah, I'm allowed. Okay. Well, I mean, if you guys don't allow me to, then obviously I'm not going to. But this is a much safer strategy in terms of being able to just lock the northern core up here and just take it, right? So let's go back to 3. Yeah, let's go back to phase 3 and display this. Essentially, So in phase 2, the 2 corps are coming down. Phase 3, like, we have, like, Dark Ray isn't necessarily sure what we have, so phase 3. Oh, what is that called? We'll show this going around town E and doing this. So obviously then in that case, this tank corps is not going to engage quite as vigorously, while this one, oh, that's the red line. While this one sort of does its thing by going to the south, east, and then coming down the other side. Right, and I mean that's kind of the benefit of having wheels, because you are able to, if you're not stuck, and there are no real formations on the side right now. If you're not stuck, you are able to do that. So that's phase 3. Everything else remains the same. Phase 4 then. Phase 4. We'll say that there was some push into the city with well, there's not that much artillery, but that should still be okay. So this looks like this. Yes, exactly. It's here. Excellent. So now there is an engagement. These 2 corps are technically, in terms of that's a good question. In terms of material, the tanks of blue are equal to the ones of dark gray. It's just they're doctrinally a little bit less able to be quite as doctrinally, they're not as flexible, right? And so that means that they're more likely to just fail to respond to a situation quickly enough to exploit. But when you're here and you're just lining yourself up across an open space, and you're both sizing each other up because you're waiting to sort of pounce from the back, then that's perfectly fine. So now in this case we have, so I hope you can see that in this case this line is so much more beautiful, because we have this coming into the back, which means that this force can very much prepare to meet the southern force instead, right? Yeah. The idea really is that simple. It's that you pin it in place and then you hit it in the flank. I think that's oof. Let's see. We've seen the force that inspires dark gray, which is the Prussian, like Royal Prussian military, like Brandenburg Prussia. They've done that under the Great Elector. They've done that under Frederick the Great. Essentially, where the Prussian military all their, like, it sounds really simple, but it works very well if everything comes together quite exactly right, which is that, like, you just pin the enemy down, and then you have something hidden in the flank, and that's never going to get old, because if your flank is not covered properly, then obviously it's not going to, like, the entire army will disintegrate, right? And so that's the same thing that's happening here. This infantry is moving south to sort of meet up with this, but it's going to get hit in the rear. Its artillery is going to disappear, and then this will wheel north again to essentially bottle up this army inside City B. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. Like, this is pinned here, these guys are technically pinned here. If you can create these pins and you have the force that is able to take them in a flank, then you're golden. Like it really is that simple. I mean, simple. It's not really simple. It's never simple. It's war. But that's the like I've looked at sort of like orders, like World War II orders before, between the force that inspired dark gray, and then a force that would inspire red. So like an island nation of some sort. And they are completely different, right? Like the force that inspires dark gray, their orders are really simple, really to the point, and like generally they leave a lot of room for interpretation for the subcommand. Oops, ignore that. For the subcommand, and that's kind of important. Whereas the island nation force itself is just a mess, right? Like there are these grand battle plans planned about like what the opponent would do, and like then we'll move this force another 150 meters up in this direction, and that doesn't really usually work. Yeah, no, like it's well, that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of the point, that it just like it was a great German, in fact, from Moltke, who said that no plan survives contact with the enemy's main body, and that's the point. You cannot anticipate what the enemy is going to do, and so therefore you shouldn't anticipate what the enemy is going to do. All right, so just to confirm what I did, we assumed that under massive artillery barrage, our blue infantry has taken this hill and has actually reduced two dark gray infantry formations to nothing. We're going to assume that no, there definitely will be casualties. So this, like it would shrink in some way, shape, or form. But you can assume that there will be casualties in this. Like, in fact, we could even set one to just completely gone like that. And yeah, exactly. No casualties here because like this is really a mobile battle. These tanks are not going to go too far away from City B, because if they're left like this, then this is just going to get surrounded. So their goal really is to make sure to screen the entire city. But of course, by this time, it's too late, right? Like this tank force is now in its southwest. We will now have proper attack coming along all of these axes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's exactly it again, right? Like we think that it should be difficult when in fact oftentimes the best orders are actually very, very simple. And part of that is simply, well, I mean, in this era. In the modern era, it's quite a bit more difficult to really say what is what, and like who's doing what at what time, that kind of stuff. Because in the modern era, everyone's connected. Like literally everything is connected, and I don't know if you guys have played a game. I might try that. I might try to stream that game one day. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially it's let me find it just real quick, because oops, the game is called, just give me a second. Command Modern Operations. This is a game that's like hardcore dad game, even worse than me, because this is all about like in 2020 or like modern day scenarios where you're dispatching fighters. It used to be a naval and aviation game. So what happens if two small modern navies meet in the middle, and then what happens when they start a conflict, and then how would you dispatch your airplanes and all of that. It's very, very I would never recommend it. No. But the point is that in our modern world, because everything is now heavily based on satellites, it's just really difficult to have independence in your subcommanders. Whereas in this era, which is of course 1939 to 1945, you have radio, but radio is still very much a long distance thing, right? And so you still technically could have independence, and like you don't know everything. You don't have satellites that's watching, and that's why actually modern operations are so focused on air and naval, and not so much on the infantry, because the infantry just they'll get bombed. Unfortunately, in our modern world, infantry are essentially sitting ducks to cruise missiles, to air forces. Even like a second-rate air force is just superior. Well, I mean, okay, there are cases, if you bring enough. Exactly. If you, as the United States military, bring enough of your anti-air missiles, then sure. But that's not really what I mean, right? Like what I meant was, if you are, if how do I explain this? If you are present enough to be if you're present enough to be have your air force and to guarantee that your air force can work, then it's going to dominate any kind of infantry that you have, and that's quite simple. That's yeah. Like, I will book no argument about that. So let's double check. Nothing really is happening here. This infantry and this artillery. The good thing about this is that, like, with the infantry here, even if you don't win against these armor, you're still slowing them down. And the point was that by now, this will have been reduced, which means that you now have another tank corps that's just going to slam into the back of this tank division. And you're going to have infantry that is, I think, more likely to just move to the southwest to start cutting off supplies, right? Like, you don't just want to win the battle at this point. You want to actually attain your strategic victories. And I think we're just going to leave it at phase 7 for today. Phase 7 will show that the Northern Army has essentially been bottled into City B. Right, so it's been bottled into City B by 2 tank corps and 2 infantry corps. That's not to say it's dead. It's just it's now under siege, right? Its supplies are going to start running out, etc., etc. In the south, we'll have this kind of position where this tank corps is kind of bottled in here. Like there's still a line over here, and then we have this infantry that is. Wait, what happened? Why did it disappear? That's okay. We have this infantry, oops, that is now moving very purposefully to surround the rest of them. So this is gone. And really that's the end of this, right? Like the Grey Army at this point is just, it's under siege everywhere, and there's no real way out. You might escape with, if you tried really hard, this tank corps can definitely escape. This one maybe, right? This one maybe, but like there'll be tripwires all over the place now that this is cut off, right? Like first of all, they're not getting fuel, they're not getting supplies if their ammunition runs out, and like how will, like the ammunition dump for this is probably in town E or inside city B, but they can't carry that much, right? So if they were to try to escape down in this direction, this is like, just double check, from here to here it's 200, here to here it's 200, yeah, so that's 5 kilometers. Each square is 5 kilometers, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at least 25 kilometers between this and any potential help. And 25 kilometers in the face of very stiff resistance is just, that's impossible. Well, no. Again, that's not impossible, but it's very hard. Fine, I'll stop using the word impossible, or I'll try to. Well, no, the problem in, like, it's improbable only because you know, there are so many things that can go wrong in war, right? So you never really understand what can go wrong until the war starts, and so tough. yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so this is phase 7. This is the end of this. Let us move on to the second part of this day, which is Squirrels of the War, you know, October 5th. Yes, well, I have been doing these squirrels for a while. This is what now, 35 days worth of squirrels. It's actually not that I don't like it. I actually very much enjoy doing this. I just sometimes, like, you know, it's difficult to maintain. I might have to change up how I talk about this, because it's difficult to maintain momentum when sometimes the line is just, you know, it's just completely dead, right? And so, like, some days like this where these parts of the line, there's nothing going on because there's nothing that can go on. right. So, you know, until reinforcements and such appear, they just have to. So last time we were at this, we had seen that the technocracy had, you know, created this brilliant breakthrough that was just about to connect the Third Army with the First Army, or with the Second Army, and therefore, you know, lop this off. Unfortunately, that's no longer happening. So, actually, give me 1 second. Oh, yeah, we are instantiating another army here. So this is the 5th army. Give me 1 second. Army. There we go. And so this is the 5th army. Do I feel bad about being so boring? No, I don't. You know why? Because technically, I'm not the one that's boring. This is going in that direction. The 12th has these 3 formations. 7th is not going in this direction. The 35th is here. And we're going to instantiate another army corps. 13th. Yes. So the 5th army is raised out of the 7th corps. And it just means it's slightly easier to control all of the forces that are in that salient. And it's not that they're afraid of the salient falling per se. It's just that distance-wise, it is too far for them to really to be able to communicate properly. Excuse me. Oh, this should be 70. Oops. Yeah. 70. And yes, we're not going to do another military operations question. I'll just do that on my own. Yeah, because there's really we really don't have that much time. This is going in that direction. And then this 37th is actually coming down. Interestingly enough, because there is an attack in this direction. Right? Because if you're surrounded on all sides, why wouldn't you? Actually, no, what am I doing? That because the 1st artillery regiment is suppressing that. 2nd is suppressing that. So these guys are they're still pushing, but it's becoming more difficult. 36th is here, but with the 37th leaving, we're going to see some amount of lost territory in the north. This now the 9th is retreated across like that. Retreated across like this. Only, and so normally you would think, oh no, the 6 guards is in danger, but in this case, that's not really the point. The 9th is just come back to a more defensive position, which will allow them to better defend this front line that is getting quite long. Right? And so by shortening your line, you're actually making it slightly easier to defend properly. And because the 4th is now distracted by its own... Oops. Oops. No. You wish. I don't wish. No, but you wish. At least I think you wish, cause that does sound like something you would enjoy. My boy Sheldon, did you really just switch to YouTube? But yes, the Civil War. Ah, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why, because I think I'm actually streaming at a higher resolution to Twitch. Huh. That's weird. Okay. It might just be that Twitch is actually not very good at things. I'll try to move the I'll try to shake it up and see what happens. But yes, it has theoretically already gone on for a few hundred years. I would love to hear your goofy idea as well. Let me just quickly go through this. That's been taken care of. And then we have to talk about this. This is essentially gone. These two formations are now lined up in this direction because why not? 6:40 p on Twitch. I wonder. I'll put. Let me just check. Oh, I am streaming at 6:40 to Twitch. And then I'm streaming at. Oh. Let me see. Huh. Okay. You're right. I am streaming at 7:20 to YouTube. That's weird, because Twitch is, or rather, I guess Streamlabs is taking a lot more effort to stream at 6:40 to Twitch than OBS is streaming 7:20 to YouTube. I don't get that. Yeah, I definitely need to move away from OBS on my from Streamlabs at this rate. Anyway. Yeah, you tell me your goofy idea. Let me just finish this first part of the day. How long have we had? Can we do a quick time check, please? 53. Okay. We are. We're not gonna finish all of this. Well, I mean, we'll just go over it. So the 7th guard is locked in on this direction. 7th division has managed to reach into this area. Managed to reach like this. Yes, the 59th Corps is in danger, but not in that much danger. Oops. Because there's enough formations in here to really make this happen. This is obviously like not a real offensive anymore anyway. Yeah, because like if your rear is getting attacked like that, you're not going to like. No commander here is going to push extra hard in this direction. It's not viable. This is like that. This is like this. So there is still some amount of here, and now there is a counterpunch to the south of the 3rd. Right, and so yeah, this is good. See that. 15th has these two, the 7th has these two, the 5th has... So the 5th has like essentially what amounts to be 4 core, Army Corps versions under itself. Nothing's happening. That's it. Okay, excellent. B. Start on the left again. There is a great amount of pain on this end. Oh, not there yet. Here. Like this. Yes. And that's actually because there is just there's no artillery in range, right? So there's no artillery in range of the 305th, which means it can and it will push into here. Whereas the 304th is still kind of, it can be interdicted, I guess. I don't actually know how to pronounce that word. Because it's interdiction, and that's fine. But is it it can't be interdicted? I don't know. Someone look it up, please. Interdiction. This is definitely gone. This is not doing very well. There's nothing here. There is more coming in this direction now. So this is moved like that. Whew, like that here. Yes. Oops. This goes away. And this is because this has now moved forward. Here, 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 that. This front has moved. This. Oops. Like this. Excellent. So the 37th Division is actually now here. Oops. 36th is here. Oh, that disappeared. Where's that transformed? Oh, it's transformed in this direction. Okay. So this attack is still ongoing, but it's not going to continue for very long. There's just nice positions to defend. Bam. Oops. Let's say there is a there's not a lot of room, no. Here, the 5th can stay. That. And then this is a army level. Here. So everything down here is the 5th, everything up here is the 2nd. The 2nd has 3 corps, the 5th has 2. Well, 2 plus 1.5, I guess. Then these formations. Excellent. Oops, no. Okay. So this technocratic attack is working a little bit better than, but it's still sort of like it is compressing this area, but it's not doing enough. And because there are just no formations on this end, it's actually not going. I do want to move that engineer. So the 6 remains here, but this is now moving out to sort of support another attack. Ah, okay, no worries. Do you want me to read it now, or? I love that. I just read it. I read pretty quick, but I that is amazing. Can you imagine if, like, the Reapers? So the actually, let me read it out, because don't worry about it. So everyone else will remember that I also write a science fiction crossover between my own universe, the Solar Research Council, and Mass Effect. And so our friend Sidewinder has given me this idea of his, which is one of the SRC scientists was just noticing these very, very weird data points, I guess, that are in London, but also expanded. They expand wherever humans go, right? So you could imagine, like, squirrels continuing their civil war, not just on Earth, but it's because humans have moved into space. The squirrels themselves have also taken their civil war into space. And so, there's an entire scene where, he's gathering information, and finally it's revealed to him that, in the meantime, the squirrels have developed their own civil war and their own civilization right under the human noses. And when the Reapers finally attack human territory, the squirrels will also, put aside their differences and join humanity in I love that, in fighting off the invaders. You could just imagine, right? Like, imagine, like, the Reapers have landed, however many, like, millions of husks, and they're now advancing on, let's say, London, for lack of a better word. And the human defenders, they are tired, they're demoralized, and they're barely able to hold on. And at the last minute, this wave of squirrels just, like, comes out of the woodwork. Like, they fade in from, like, the ether, because normally humans don't recognize them. And and of course, in the meantime, they've also increased their own increased their own tech level. So they also have laser weapons. I love that so much. And so, like, the squirrels also start using their laser weapons against the husks, and that turns the tide of battle on London and on Earth. And then there's this gigantic counterattack, and the squirrels themselves have. I wonder if I could give them, like, maybe they'll pilot the drones that the SRC uses. What do you think about that? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? So, like, instead of AI, you have, like, entire squadrons of squirrel piloted drones that are doing these, like, amazing acrobatics that no human can really ever do. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Yeah, we're going to continue writing Squirrels at War until it merges with the Mass Effect crossover. That is great. Oh my god. I'm doing this. I don't care, I'm doing this. It might be in a side story, just because it's Actually, my friend Sidewinder, I've been meaning to ask you, how did you find my content? Was it on Space Battles? Because if it was, can you imagine my boys and girls on Space Battles and how they would take it if I suddenly inserted squirrels into the story? They would go mad. Can you imagine like they're sorry when at the end they're introduced to the savior of the galaxy and it turns out it wasn't humanity, it was actually the squirrels themselves. I'm sorry, I'm getting completely sidetracked. Yes, the SRC Mass Effect. Whereabouts did you read it? Was it on? I post on. I think I post on Reddit, and fan fiction, and Space Battles. I think. Ah, okay, cool. Fan fiction. I love fanfic on that. Oh my god. My youth was spent on that. Anyway, next part of the day. This is getting a little bit concerning. There's this going on. And so obviously by this point, this the third division must pull out of that salient, otherwise it's going to just completely be destroyed, like surrounded and destroyed. So there is this that was coming down this direction. There's nothing going on here. This is starting again because oops. Excuse me. There we go. Because suddenly, you know, this is now okay. And this is starting in this direction. So there's a counterattack to the counterattack to the counterattack. Try to keep up with that. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like a cut and a thrust, right? Like the initial attack by the 7th Guards was a counterattack along the south and the north, and from the rear, that counterattack itself is now, you know, completely broken, but there is a counterattack here, at least from the 7th Guards, to attempt to seal that so that the third doesn't just die off. That would be tragic. I don't think any technocratic formations have yet been destroyed. It's only the collective ones. Yeah. So this remains. This needs to go this direction. Continues. Continues here. There is a renewed attack on this end just to remove the salient, because if you can remove the salient, you're able to do a lot more with it. There's going to be a renewed attack on this side to push into this direction, and ideally you see what's happening. Like if the 25th is able to take off the Minori's tunnel, then suddenly this entire salient is dependent on this weak area here. And that's actually why our friend Thatcher is pulling the 300th Engineering Regiment, because that's going into this direction for defense. Good. There needs to be something that happens here. Yes. Excellent. But the technocracy is also at risk of really overextending itself, right? Because at this point, what could happen is there are so many formations here, and this line is now so, at least on the part of the technocracy, this line is so overextended that if these formations come down to the south or something, there's a big possibility of just like a counterattack winning. Except that this is also happening. Because why not, right? Like, originally the combat engineers ensured that this was safe, but now that they're gone, this is actually an overextended part of the front for the collective. So, yay. Exactly. What happens when everyone's overextended? The combat engineers are sent directly into battle. Like that. And so this essentially ensures that if this falls, that he has a nice way of removing all of these formations. That's 5 formations. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. It's all fine. Remember when we were working on what was that deal? I can't remember. We were working on it was I think it was an entertainment company, but I can't remember what entertainment company. But then the CEO was like, no, we got this, and then it turns out they didn't have it at all. That was I know that was a terrible story. I'm sorry. It's all I remember. All I remember was that they were failing so hard and still trying their best to, to present a front as if they were fine. And you gotta give them some credit for that, right? Excellent. Excellent. There's now a attack in this direction. That's a good question. The question is, why is the collective not really attacking? Like from the inside, and it's just because they look like full-fledged formations, but they don't have enough manpower really to do so. And that's because the technocracy has, or the collective has been hard at work creating new divisions instead of reinforcing their existing ones. And in some cases, that's just what they had to do because they needed to extend. Like when you have a breakthrough, right? You can't really send the squirrel power that's meant for the 66th division. You can't send that down to like the 53rd, because then this will just blow up. And so they just kind of have to make do. Yeah. And lo and behold, counterattack is working. Like that. There is no other counter. Oh no, there is. And it's here. towards the Four Seasons Hotel, surprisingly enough. Because, yeah, why wouldn't you want to stay at the Four Seasons, right? Seriously, who doesn't want to stay at the Four Seasons? Okay, so these points get deleted. Oh no. 3, 4. The third has, made its way back, but at the cost of essentially giving up a lot of ground. Right, like you remember the 13th was actually down to Wood Street. Actually, it was at Gutter Lane, I believe. Even actually Foster. No, Gutter Lane. And that's now all gone. Yeah, that's not all gone. And now the 10th is counterattacking the own counterattack that was coming from that side. And the first guards is coming this direction. 36 is still here. And so in the south there's nothing more. Like they're all just basically the same. The same combat effectiveness, so they can't do anything. They're all basically the same, so nothing's happening. They're still suppressed, but this attack is going on. Yes, I forgot about that. It's okay, we have time. Yeah, don't worry. We have time. It's just a presentation, bro, I got it. Don't worry about it. I've presented to these boys and girls so many times. She loves me, don't worry. Well, actually no. The managing director that we're talking to is fine. Their general counsel is a bit of a bitch. But we'll make do, it's fine. You think too much. Yeah, so this, it looks like it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I, like both Elm and actually myself, think that this is fine. There's enough suppressing and there's enough force in the corridor that the 5th Army, it can just do whatever it needs to do with very little worry. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is good. Comparing to before, that has advanced. Did we have the arrows there? No. Good. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're only 20 minutes over. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, 20 minutes is not a lot. And we still have half an hour to the meeting. Seriously, it's fine. Imagine me needing practice. Popular, jolly. Have they? And they're all, and the entire thing is squirrel themed. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I'm not talking. Oh, it's over. Oops, come on. There we go. This has been moved. That's fine. There is a general counterattack coming in this direction. we'll see how far they can push it. In the floors. Oh wow. They literally will live anywhere. So yeah, I guess that's very much doable. Down here, the 6 guards is in a little bit of trouble, but not too much. And then here it's fine. Oh wait, no. Check. Oh no, this is good. Okay. Okay. Oh, squirrel-related troubles. Am I right? Anyway, okay. I do. I will relax. It's fine. I'll end it in 2 minutes, and then we can talk about the deal. It's fine. We can talk about the presentation. Excellent. Wait, which link? I'll actually, Sheldon, I'll talk to you on Discord. Because someone's getting their panties in a twist. I don't know. He doesn't even wear. Never mind, I'm not even gonna talk about it. Anyway, this was fun. I very much enjoyed it. Thank you to our friend Sheldon for hopping between Twitch and YouTube to actually see the difference in quality. No thank you at all to you lot on Discord because you were being gigantic. I'm not even talking about the drinking game anymore. It's anyway, with all of that having said, thank you again very much everyone for watching. In conclusion, please don't use Chrome because Google is a gigantic twat. And I shall see you guys, I guess, tomorrow, yeah, where we will continue our System Shock again. Yes, our classic video game night was apparently a resounding success last time. I don't know. And as far as I could tell, people just drank. So, yes, that's it for today. Thank you again, and have a good evening, everyone. Bye now.